We have, of course, had, as part of the presentation and the video and other details in the reading, mention about other places, other countries that do require service in some way. They make references about the military service that some countries require of citizens. I mentioned about Israel requiring. There are outs, though. Even in Israel, where they say everybody's required. No, there are ways of getting out of it. Well, should we require it, but provide loopholes for people to get out of it? In ancient civilizations where military service was expected, you literally could pay somebody to take your place. That did take place. You know that. Look through history. You didn't have to go. They wanted a body. You go fight. Okay, here, I'm providing you with a body. Here you go. He's going to fight my place.
And it was legal?
It was legal. Perfectly fine. You pay the guy. They just wanted somebody. And say, okay, I'm supplying someone. Here you go. This idea of loopholes, though, could we get out of it? Rather than having to serve? Well, not necessarily. You heard me mention about the selective service, that about the draft. Mr. Berryman raised that point also. And at one time it's mentioned that maybe women, only men, once you reach the age of 18, folks, you have to sign for selective service, which they make it very, very easy for you to do so. Have any of you ever looked at the free application for federal student aid? FAFSA, fill that out, trying to apply for financial assistance. Well, as you're, if you ever, to get financial assistance, you have to fill out FAFSA. One of the questions on it is, just check the little box. They take your, because you have to put your Social Security number and everything on there anyway. It's a federal program. If you have not previously enlisted and signed up for selective service, they do it for you. And if you don't check the little box, they don't process your FAFSA application. So hey, guys, you have to check it anyway. So you get signed. If you don't go down to your local post office or someplace to register, you don't have to worry about it. Fill out FAFSA online, you're good. But you heard the video that maybe women will also be required to do that. And his comment, he was the veteran, who commented that now that women and combat issues have come up, then maybe women will have to sign for selective service also who's drafted if we ever get to that point. As he pointed out, though, we have a purely voluntary military. Nobody is forced into it in the sense of you are conscripted by your government to serve. We don't have that. We have, instead of voluntary. People get out of high school, decide they don't want to go to college, want to do this, want to do that, they go to the military. Other people, when they get out of college, decide that they're going to go to the military. That happens with more frequency than you think. Is part of that, with military, I know that probably some of you are in schools now, and your senior year, you've already seen the military recruiters coming to your campuses. That taking place, yeah, they do, which is fine. That's what they're there to do. And they have that promise about, hey, if you serve for so long, you get money from the GI Bill, so you go to college, it'll pay for fund your college education, right? Well, if you want to do that with public service, that was one of the issues that was mentioned. That hey, if you really want to serve, let's do it this way. We can start them as young as in middle school. It said, right? One of them said that $500 scholarship that could be put aside for every time they serve. We can put that aside in an account, but don't give them the money. Just say, okay, when you get through with school, if you are accumulating funds to be used at college or higher education of some sort, it said. And your service would count toward that. Well, is that a possibility? And it says also about the living stipends and educational incentives that Locke quote mentions. I think Americans believe that should be part of it. But you heard in the video. The gentleman who commented, he was a senator, he commented, it's great to talk about all this, but how are you going to pay for it? Because all these programs have to be funded. Again, one comment was made about only 85,000 people being able to serve in AmeriCorps, although over 500,000 more had applied. And he said, well, that shows they want to serve. that they're willing to do public service. It's just that we don't put them in places. That's because of funding. They don't have enough money to pay for 585,000 people to serve. They have enough for like 87,000. If you're going to give them stipends, if you're going to pay for living costs, if you're going to give them some sort of financial incentive to service. Not much, folks. You don't get paid much to be in the AmeriCorps or Peace Corps. But it is something, well, you still have the money generated. If it's only $15,000 a year, well, you multiply that by roughly 100,000 people, that adds up. Think of the number of zeros that are going to be put on there. Where do you go with the money? You want to fund this program, requiring people to serve? Great. How will we pay for it? Will we pay for it? Or will it be strictly a required, a mandated public service that goes unpaid? Or we say, all right, you have to go and help with an after-school program at your local school, reading program. You don't get paid for it, but you have to go so many hours a week or so many hours a month or whatever you're going to say, so many hours a year. And you have to have that documented saying you did this. So somebody has to be supervising. Well, who's going to supervise that? Will that person be paid? Well, if you do it as an after-school reading program, for instance, you could have a teacher who would have it as another assigned duty. It's in contracts for teachers, folks. It says, and other assigned duties. Just basic language in contract. Yeah, they can stay after school for like an hour, from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And you could have an after-school reading program, and students come in from the lower grades, and the older students are there to help build their skills in reading or math or whatever. For an hour after school, you do it 3 times a week. You get 3 hours a week of public service. You do that for 36 weeks. So that's how long a school year technically is. 36 weeks, you have over 100 hours of community service. Do that for 3 years in high school, your sophomore year, your junior year, your senior year. You have 300 hours of service. Would that be sufficient? Are there other things that should be done? Many cities have community centers where you could volunteer your time, not be paid, but be volunteering to help at those areas. Could you assist at a local nursing home? You could do the medical aspects, but you could help with some of the daily activities. You could help with maybe in the I guess it's the kitchen area where you could help serve, whatever. I think I've probably mentioned this before. I had a student who, when I was in school, it was part of her family's tradition, I guess. Thanksgiving. They went to one of the, I guess we'll call them soup kitchens, in Dallas, and they served meals. They do that every Thanksgiving. They get there in the morning and stay until evening and then go home, and then they celebrated their Thanksgiving on Friday. And when she was in high school, she was still doing it. They started when they were younger. She wound up still doing it, and as far as I know, when she went to college, she still did it. I don't know about now, but she's been unconscious for a while. But she did that every Thanksgiving. Well, could you do that? And again, she wasn't paid to do that. They always make again, it's not that far away for us, really, for a month now for Thanksgiving. You'll see celebrities who will do that, serving Thanksgiving meals. They always like to show that on those entertainment programs. Oh, celebrity such and such has gone and spent the day doing this. Well, there are other people around there too, so not just celebrities who can do that. Should that be something we could do? You know, we give you guys time off from school, right? How many of you, does Athens have the entire week off for Thanksgiving? Which means your bus probably won't run to get you here on that Tuesday, right? So you won't be here on that Tuesday. We have class on Tuesday. Oh, you have to come. Okay, all right. We're good because I'm about to say we have class on that Tuesday. Now Elkhart probably won't be with us because they have early release that day. But I'm looking around the room going, okay, most of you are Pinnacle people. And if you guys don't show up on Tuesday, we have like 5. Okay. Oh, okay, yes, okay. We're gonna make it. How they going? Are they going on the bus up for you? You find your own way. Yeah, that's really great. Okay, good luck with that. Okay, I'll be here, but we'll see what goes. It's just sad. All your friends are getting to sleep late at home. You haven't done it. But I feel sad for those people that don't come to experience the joy of English on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That's how you feel, right, Vanessa? The joy of coming to English class. Uh-huh. Well, anyway, as you're looking at your potential topic, there are a number of approaches you can take. You can narrow it to a very specific aspect. Maybe you want to say that Pinnacle, I'm going to use their school, Pinnacle should institute a program where all dual credit students, by the way, did they pay for your school? Okay, all dual credit students, in repayment for having their college education paid for, must serve so many hours in a particular program. Well, that sounds likely as something you could argue. Should we or should we not? They make you do that? Really? Because not every school does that. What do they make you do? What do they require? It's mandated for you? 48 hours. Well, I just told you how you get 100 in 3 years. 100 in a year. Look at me. I got you covered. Well, that's part of what you can look at. Is it because you're part of the Pinnacle program and you're getting the dual credit? Is that what it is? Okay, that's a requirement of the Pinnacle program that you do this. So they're already mandating public service for you folks. Well, do you think that should be simply limited to the Pinnacle students, or do you think all students at Athens High School should have to do that? There are approaches you can take to this. I mean, 48 hours, folks, that's an hour and a half a week for your 36 weeks, right? Hour and a third, actually. But that doesn't take that much to do. 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. But they give you, what are the options that they give you to get those 48 hours?
You can sell t-shirts, get hours, you can go over to other campuses and they don't have college classes, over there.
So on Monday and Wednesday, we don't have college, or Friday, we don't have your college classes?
Whenever the college gets out, in the beginning of December, we still have to go to school.
Yeah.
So mid-December, so during those 2 weeks, we usually go over.
Well, yeah, in the spring, you have even longer. The college, we get through December 9th, something like that, or so last day. So I know you probably have a little over a week then, because most schools are getting out like 17th or 18th. So you don't have about a week. Maybe you got 10, I think the day you got. But in the spring, you get out like first week of May. Through then. So you have probably a good 3 weeks in. You have twice a week, where when you come and spend an hour and a half here, an hour and 15 minutes, well, so that gives you 2.5 hours twice a week that you can go spend. Well, 3 weeks, you're looking at picking up at least 7 to 10 hours, something like that. Not bad. So you just have to have it before you graduate, so you still have a couple years to get that done. So it'd be fairly easy to do that. Well, you consider those aspects. When we had the fall break, you guys didn't have fall break from, I know those 2 days in October, you didn't have fall break from your high school class, right? So you could have gone and spent that Tuesday. I'm sure many of you did, right? Right? Maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Elkhart did. All right, there you go. But that might be something to look at, that you put that in there, as Pinnacle has a stipulation to it. You put that in there. Students who are receiving dual credit, especially when it's paid for by the school district, must perform so many hours of public service, community service, as repayment for having received their college education. If failure to do so, what happens with failure to do so if you don't get the 48 hours? Nobody knows. Do they say, shame on you, we're not going to give you your college credit, which college is already awarded you the credit, oh, shame on you, we're not going to pay for any more college courses, already paid for them. Or do they say, shame on you, you actually pay us for all the college classes? Yeah, I'm not sure what the punitive measure would be if you failed to get the 48 hours. I know that in local high school where I used to teach for a long time, the Beta Club, which is a service organization, they have to have their service hours authenticating what they've done as service. And if they don't have that, they don't get their stowaway at graduation. And if they haven't done so many hours up to that point, they don't get to go to convention and stuff like that. They have shown that they have been progressing towards their service hours. So they don't get to go to convention and enjoy some of those aspects. I'm not sure what the Pinnacle does, but you might ask, say, hey, what happens if I don't get 48 hours? It's not like I'm not going to, but just in case. What would happen? But that may be something you can approach and look at as a potential topic to discuss, to argue. Should students who are receiving dual credit at the expense of the school district be obligated to serve in some measure for the community and or school? That's an approach you can take. And so that's what I'm saying. When you're looking at what you're trying to do, how can you develop it? What should you do to develop that? Again, with Elkhart, I know that they pay for their books and their Insight codes, and they've also provided them with a laptop computer. So those students are receiving value, if you will, from the district. I don't know if Elkhart has that little stipulation about public service or not, but this could be something that they could argue. Should they have to do that? There's potentials of different topics, different approaches to this one bigger topic. Don't try to argue strictly for the whole big issue about should public service be required for all Americans. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have that big topic. You want to narrow it down to some particular aspect of it. Because that becomes an important detail. One of the groups I did not mention here, which did come up in the video presentation I showed you guys, is about senior corps, where senior citizens, people, I think it's 60 and up, I'm not quite there yet, 60 and up can volunteer time to work. Typically those individuals do not receive any stipends or payment, they just volunteer in their local community. And the screen just went off, okay. That aspect is something you can consider too, that these people that are receiving benefits, Social Security, Medicare, etc., should they repay in the form of service? Anyone who receives some sort of federal assistance, if you look at some of those programs, should they be required to commit to some sort of public service? And you have all sorts of arguments about federal programs and monies that are given out to individuals. Well, maybe this is a way of looking at it. They want to tie federal grants and dollars for education, proposal has been, to public service. Well, how about tying Social Security, Medicare, the other federal programs, tie that to some public service? That's just a potential way of approaching the topic. And again, you want to do that. You want to approach it in a narrowed way. Not the big issue, narrowed. Much of what we had presented focused on 18 to 25-year-olds. Many of the arguments are about that. Well, I brought those up for you especially because that's the age division for most of you. And so I thought it might be something for you to consider. The idea about trying to generate a culture of service, though. The idea that we all should serve in some way and be willing to do that. Well, I gave that quote from de Tocqueville at the beginning saying, Americans have this. They have this attitude of sacrifice, of giving for others. It says what marks part of the American attitude. Do we still have that attitude? You may want to argue that we don't have that attitude of sacrifice, or we do still have that attitude of sacrifice. And try to explain why and how we can see that. So there are ways to approach the topic. Ways that you can investigate that issue, because it is going to be something to consider, to think about, as we hopefully will write a very solid presentation along those lines. Now, as we get ready to move away from this topic, do any of you have any questions regarding it? Yeah, any points you want to bring up? I heard Elkhart say no. Okay, way to go. Good. Anybody here? We're good. Everybody's good. I heard a yes. All right. Well, then we're going to go ahead and move to our next topic, which I put these sort of back to back because it seems to be an natural stemming. It's about education, the issue of education. You heard in the video presentation that some, and I put it in the topic too, some are advocating tying education costs and expenses to public service. And, you know, that is a possibility. Your textbook has a section about education. This is the part that actually is earlier in the book than the public service one. I want to put the public service one first because, as I said, some of them will link that to higher education. And then they go back, it starts on page 505, where you have a series of articles talking about education. Do we still need it? That's one of the first ones that says 3 reasons college still matters. Another one talks about America's most overrated product, the bachelor's degree. Another one says we need to reimagine education. And then you have one article that talks about undergraduate specialization. This is one by Ali, who comes from the Brewer system, as it says in your little liner notes, where they literally do specialize much more. I mean, they go in and say, you know, you folks declare a major, right? You can say, oh, I'm majoring in English, but we give you the general courses. Everybody takes this and this and this, right? So everybody's taking basically the same course, especially here on the community college level. We can give you those foundational courses. And then you go to the senior level college, as they used to call it, the university level, and that's where you really start taking much more of your major classes. Well, the career system is a little different. Not everybody takes exactly the same classes. But this issue about majoring, you know, we have people declare their majors, right? Did you folks have to fill out a little form what you were interested in majoring in? I'm not sure what they do with you clinical students. They say you take classes, right? Yeah, tell everybody here to do the liberal arts one because they figure they'll cover about everybody. But they will eventually ask you what your major is. The statistical indications or surveys usually will tell you that a person going to college will change majors at least 6 times. Not everybody does, but statistics show that a college student will enter and before graduation will change major 6 times. Now that's fairly easy to do. You go, well, that's just, my gosh, does that person not know what he or she wants to do with his life? Well, it's real easy. You go in your first year and you're undecided because you're not sure what exactly you might want to major in, so you click the undecided major. That's one major declared. Even undecided counts as a major. So the next year, or the next semester, You decide, okay, I think I'm leaning toward business, so you just check general business. Okay, 2 majors. Your third semester, starting your second full year, you decide general business, but you want to, okay, I'm really leaning toward accounting, so you click accounting, 3 majors. The next semester, you decide, I'm really, maybe a finance. I'm still business major, but I want to go with finance, money. Okay, so check that one. You've changed majors 4 times. You've changed every semester. That's 4 times. Actually, now 5, right? Undecided. Yeah, okay, we'll get 4. So the next semester, you decide, I'm going to go back to accounting. Easier. 5 times. Heaven forbid, you decide to go back to finance or declare a second major because you want to double major. Well, they count that as a change too. It's very easy to do. When I went to University of Texas as an undergraduate, I declared my major where I was signing up. I went to the pre-orientation time during summer, and they have you, sign up for classes there so you get your pre-registered. It was done much differently in those days. We're talking almost 40 years ago. So, yeah, they didn't have computers where you register online and all that. You actually had to go in physically and stand in line. Hope the course was open because everything was done by filling out forms and little cards and all sorts of things. So if you go to summer for freshmen, incoming freshmen, you go to a orientation time, and they will let you pre-register. So you can sign up for classes before other people can claim the course, and you get a better chance of getting the courses at the times that you want. So I went and declared myself as an English major. That's why I majored in English. I did that for a couple of reasons. As I told the person taking my information about advising me for courses and stuff, guess what your major going to be? English, okay. And that's why I said, really though, it's pre-law, but UT does not have a pre-law major. He goes, yeah, that's what they'll say. Because UT at that time did not have a pre-law major, and I was going to go to law school. That was my plan. Coming out of high school, I was going to go to law school. But I majored in English because I like to read. Truthfully. I like to read. So I signed up for being an English major. That's what you do as an English major. You read and you write. I can handle that. So I majored in English. Never changed my major. Stayed as an English major. All 4 years. Actually, 3.5 years. So I was one of those exceptions who never changed the major. I didn't go to law school because during my second year at UT, I decided I wanted to pursue graduate degrees in English instead. I was going to go to grad school. I was going to teach on the college level. And that's what I decided to do. So I did change my intent, I just never changed the major. Well, many people do change majors. This particular article in your textbook by Carlo Rotella says, no, it doesn't matter what you majored in. And this is page 516, and he has a couple of comments that I just want to emphasize for you. It's a very, very short little article, so you'll like this one. It's a grand total of 2 pages. Okay, so it doesn't take long to read it all. So you're going, great, we can handle that one. We like those short ones. He raises this point and give you a little bit of background on him there. He's the American Studies program at Boston College. He's the director of that one. And so he does occasionally do other, he writes a column for the Boston Globe and does a few other things. On page 517, he raises a point about people, the higher education bubble, as he called it. So if you're studying engineering, you become an engineer. If you study biology or physics, you become a scientist. For pre-med, pre-law, you go to be a doctor or a lawyer. What kind of job do you get if you study Renaissance art, Indonesian history, any kind of literature at all? So this is what he says on page 517. Let's defenestrate a mistaken assumption that many students and their parents cling to. Prospective employers frequently don't really care what you majored in. They might look at where you went to school, how you did. They will definitely consider whether you wrote a decent cover letter, but they don't sit there and think, anthropology? We don't need an anthropologist. They do care that you're a college graduate. What that means, if you worked hard, did your job properly, your teachers did theirs, You have spent 4 years developing a set of skills that will serve you in good stead in the post-industrial job market. You can assimilate, organize large, complex bodies of information. You can analyze that information to create outcomes that have value to others. You can express your ideas in clear, purposeful language. You'd be amazed how many employers, when surveyed, mention the need for their employees to be able to communicate effectively, especially in written form. I showed you at the beginning of the semester the video gentleman does with the whiteboard, right? About the writing process. Didn't I share that one to you guys? Vanessa's giving me a look like, no. I thought I'd show them that one to you. Well, in that particular video, maybe I can show it for you guys next week. He makes a comment about that, about writing skills proving beneficial for you in trying to locate jobs. He talked about how he was a computer person, but he was always having to write reports, having to write messages, having to write letters, having to do all sorts of writing, and writing skills became important. It wasn't what the job said, but it is part of it. Because many jobs, folks, still require reports. I know I've told you the story about my best friend when he was still an undergraduate and I was in grad school over at UT Arlington. He was working on his finance degree. And he had this project he was doing. He was very proud of this big paper he was having to do. It was like 20-something page paper research into a corporation. He gave it to me to look at, and he wanted me to look it over. And so I read it, get back and go, no, really read it. I mean, you only read it as if, yeah, read it. Treat it like one of the papers. I'm like, okay. I gave back to him. He was, it was red all over it because I marked all sorts of items on his paper. He goes, why did you mark all that? I said, because you need to improve all this. And so we had some little sessions about how to be a better writer. And eventually that paid off for him. Because when he got out of college, he got a job, and his immediate supervisor had all sorts of reports. She wound up giving it to him. He wrote all the reports. She turned them in. Her superior really liked all the reports, could understand it, recognized all the detail. Kept her when he went to become the president of a savings and loan. He took her with him, and so she took Mike with her. And by the time he was 27, he was a vice president of a savings and loan. During the time when the savings loans were booming. Then all went bust. He wound up working for the FDIC. He worked for that one for a while because he was able to express and develop and offer clear reports and analysis of what was taking place. And now he runs his own financial corporation. They have offices in 3 or 4 different places, including one over in Georgia, someplace outside of Atlanta. He has an office over there. You have to write. You have to present constantly. Or, if you're running a company, you hire somebody who can. Well, the idea about assimilating and processing information. That's what you have to do when you're in college. If you have managed to get through college, you have hopefully been successful at doing so. And they look for those college degrees. And that's what Rotella comments here. Sometimes, yes, it does matter about your degree. But sometimes it's more important how successful were you at achieving that degree and how have you then taken that and utilized it. He makes this comment. Says whether you hone these skills in the study of foreign policy or Russian novels is secondary, even trivial. What matters is that you pursue training in the craft of mastering complexity, which you apply in fields from advertising to zoo management. And that is part of it. And he makes this comment. He talks about the papers on his desk from a course on city and literature and film. He says you can't fake a 20-page paper. Either you've done the work this semester and know what you're talking about, or you don't. Either you can deliver a sustained reasoned argument, or you can't. It's a craft, like Catholic making. And that's part of it. Can you present? Can you offer? Can you demonstrate that you have learned? That's what employers want to see. Whether you're degree is in one area or another. They still want to see performance. And that raises an issue about what kind of education should people go for. Specialized, this is one of the articles, that you have a very specialized. If you're going to be an accountant, why are you having to take U.S. history? Take accounting classes. You're going to be a surgeon. That's your goal. You want to go through pre-med programs and become a surgeon. Then why do you have to take a survey course in American literature, world literature, British literature? Why do I have to do that? Why can't I be taking more anatomy and physiology courses instead? That's what's going to be important to you. Well, there are arguments back and forth. How should we have students' education structured? Is there the need for that Common Core, as they're called now? You have a whole issue about the Common Core. Or should we instead offer specialized education? For those of you still in high school, you know the state of Texas has taken a step toward that, right? Okay, I mean, from the people, I can't see the people at Elkhart on screen, so I'm going to assume that you may have similar expressions to the people here, because all of you look sort of blank. Do you know about the specialized diplomas now? Yeah, you're supposed to declare a concentration, right? Uh-huh.
I think they're doing that with the grades below us. For the sophomores.
I thought it started last year, but you were not a freshman last year, were you? Okay, that may be it. I thought it started, actually I thought it started 2 years ago, okay. But they do, they have to declare a specialization. They have 5 different areas that you can look at, including STEMs, you know, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's one of the ones you get to look at. Let's see if I can get to the TEA website. Okay. I can't remember what they call it, concentrations. I don't think that's what it's called. Bing search is not available right now. Well, that's great. Let's go see if Google's available. Oh, no. There we go. Okay. Diplomas, types. Let's see if that'll give it to me. Okay. House Bill 5. Yeah, that's the one. Hold on here. And they're called endorsements is what they're called. I'm trying to see if I can find the endorsements. Let me get this here. So far, that has not want to show up. Okay, here's House Bill. Yes, House Bill 5. Someone. All right. All that does is take you to a little summary of House Bill 5. Not what we want. Okay. Let's see if I can get over here and find it. It takes a little while for this one. Let's see. Graduation information. It's not the easiest website to negotiate. Trust me on this one. See if it's under the Foundation School Program. I get to keep going. Keep going. That's not it. Anyway, they have these different ones. Let's see if I can find this one eventually. Here's about the endorsements. Maybe this is it. Let's see if I can show you this part. Sorry about the delay here, but trying to find all this stuff. TA is not the best organized. This is part of curriculum and graduation requirements according to the Texas Education Code. Entering grade 9 to 2014-2015, so that would have been last year's group, so not you guys. The Foundation High School program specified in 74.12 is related to the Foundation High School program. Entering grade 9 shall enroll in curriculum requirements, and a student may graduate without earning endorsement if, after the student's sophomore year, the student and the student's parents are advised by a school counselor benefits of graduating with one or more endorsements, and the student's parent or person fulfilling that role files with a school counselor permission on a form adopted by the TA allowing the student to graduate without an endorsement. Yeah, there's also things you have to do, but they do these endorsements. And the endorsements follow very specific areas. And these are the classes they tell you have to earn. Under the Foundation High School program, you have to earn 22 credits. How many of you guys have to earn to graduate from your school? Do you know how many credits you have to get? You just keep taking class till they tell you for, right? Okay, yeah, I understand. Most of the foundation programs require a minimum of 26 credits. 26 classes. That's the general requirement. You can actually get more than that, which is typically some of the classes that, because State of Texas likes to do this, they like to put programs in place for 4 years and they don't count for 4 credits. You do not get, how many of you are in athletics? And you're involved in that every year, right? And you take a class every year, right? You don't get credit every year for that. How many of you are in band? Yeah, you don't get all the credits for band either. They have to split them up in different ways. Band tries to work, okay, you get a little fine art, you get a little PE credit, stuff like that, because you're marching in the fall, they can count that for PE. Yeah. And then your other part has to be fine arts, okay? Because you're specializing in concert band and stuff like that. Well, you know, that comes into play. PE eventually got sort of dropped, so it doesn't count anyway, so you have to sort of count that as an elective situation. Or schools could require it as part of it, so they're kicked in an extra credit here and there that they do. So you wind up with usually 26 credits. But they talk about you get to take English 1, 2, and 3. You have to have credits for English 1, 2, and 3. You do not have to have credit for English 4. What you have to do for English 4, you have to pick up an additional credit, which may be 1 full credit or a combination of 2 half credits from different courses, such as English 4, an independent study in English, literary genres, creative writing, research and technical writing, humanities, public speaking, communication applications, which must be combined with another half credit, oral interpretation, debate 3, independent study of speech, independent study of journalism, advanced broadcast journalism 3, newspaper 3, yearbook 3, AP, IB, or a locally developed English language arts course or other activity, including an apprenticeship or training hours needed to obtain an industry-recognized credential or certificate that is developed pursuant to the Texas Education Code, business English, or a college preparatory English language course that is developed in pursuant to the TEC, Texas Education Code 28.14. Most school districts aren't going to try to worry about all that stuff. They give you English for it. Right? They don't have enough people and staff to be able to provide all these other things. Right? It's just easier. Just take English forward. Most people don't have to try to figure out all this other stuff, like literary genres or independent study in English. In my course of teaching in high school for 27 and a half years, I taught 1 independent study course. I had a student who had been in an advanced program, and he had taken freshman English when he was in the 8th grade. So then he moved to our school, transferred from a larger area. So he came in with credit for freshman English already when he was a freshman. So they put him in sophomore English. His sophomore year, they put him in junior English. His junior year, they put him in senior English. I taught him in English 4. Well, he was still in high school the next year. And he liked English. And he said, "Can I take another class?" I said, "We don't have another class, really." I said, "We don't have that option because we only have 1 teacher per grade level. That's, you know, I said, well, we can appeal and apply and see what we come up with. So we wound up giving him an independent study course, great books. They put him in another class I was teaching. He part of at that time we had an honors program. And so he was in that class, but he didn't do their work yet. And I just gave him books. Here, read. Here's a paper assignment. Turn in. So he read all these books all year long. Occasionally we'd have a chance to talk about them.
Does the school have to provide those as a student wants them, or?
They do not have to provide them because they can show due cause when they cannot. As in, they don't have, it's like not every school provides dual credit classes because they don't have anybody to teach them. They don't have access to it. We try to make it, for instance, with TVCC, we try to make it available, such as with Elkhart, we're televised to them. They don't have anybody necessarily on staff there to teach the class. We don't necessarily have anybody we can send down there to them to teach the class. But we're still providing for them because the school district has asked, can you do this for us? And TVCC says, sure we can. So the classes I've taken over now, they had somebody on staff who was certified to teach the class, now gone. We don't have anybody, what do we do? Well, they don't have time to televise it because they had it at separate times during the day. It doesn't mesh, they only have 45-minute classes, so it doesn't mesh with our schedule here. So we're doing a hybrid. I put stuff up online and I go once a week, I try to go talk with them. Except I've had to go twice a week trying to catch them up. And next week they have an early release on Wednesday, because it's Monday, Wednesday, I go. Wednesday they have early release. Classes are 20 minutes. I might come in Wednesday, because they asked me to come on Wednesday. So I'm going to have to go Monday, so I will have gone Wednesday, Monday, And then they get off the entire week for Thanksgiving. It's like, okay, there goes a whole nother week. I gotta have, I need time to get you through this stuff, so we're working on it. But not every school has to provide every one of these programs. Is it recommended that they try to? Yes. Do they have to? No. Because what they can say, we're fulfilling the requirements, we're offering that class right there. We give you that. And they cover it. Not every school offers debate 3. There's a number of schools in this area, they don't even offer debate as a class. Do any of you folks take debate? Do they have debate?
Yes.
They do, okay. But they probably don't have debate 3, right?
Yeah.
They do? Okay. Tell the kids that, they can actually use that for English 4th grade if they want to. They usually don't tell them that. They don't mention it. They say, have you read the handbook? Because it lists all the stuff they just take from TA code. Most people don't read the handbook either. They sign a little form saying they did. They didn't. There you go. But quite often you don't get to offer that one either because it's just not there. But you have to have your math and things that you can do there. You have to have 3 credits, 2 of which have to be algebra and geometry. You do not have to take algebra 2. That's making some people's day very, very pleasant, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to take algebra 2 for the foundation program. You're kidding. There you go. You choose one of these other things. Mathematics models with applications. Robotics programming. And then you have to have 1 full credit or a combination after from different courses, including algebra 2, pre-calculus, advanced quantitative reasoning, independent studies in math, statistics, AP statistics, calculus, AP, etc. By the way, the state does not have a calculus curriculum. The state doesn't have one. If you want calculus, it has to be AP. So you have to do AP because that's the only one they have. And it goes on in science, etc., what you have to do for those, what you get out of that one. And then social studies, 3 credits, and then what you have to do with the rest of it. Languages, 2 credits. PE, 1 credit. That's all you get, folks, 1 credit PE. Which is why, you do band for 4 years and it count. Oh, every fall will count. That gives you 2 credits. Well, 1 of the credits really doesn't count for the foundation program. So that's why most schools say, well, we're going to give you it as an elective credit. That means you get 23 credits. And they have different ones all the way down here. Fine arts is only 1 credit. But here are the endorsements. Okay? This is where they suddenly kick in extra classes. If you want to be endorsed, follow this endorsement, you have to pick up Algebra 2, you have to pick up all the other ones. And you have to demonstrate proficiency in the following: the curriculum requirements for the foundation program, we're like to start with very quickly, those 22, plus you have to have a 4th credit in mathematics, which includes Algebra 2 is one of your choices. So yeah, you still have to take Algebra 2 properly. Because you want to take that before you get to that anyway, right? And so here, you'll see that list there: engineering mathematics. Completion of Algebra 2, a mathematics course endorsed by will award course credit as prerequisite. After the successful completion of Algebra 2, you can take another math class. So you still have to get that Algebra 2 in there. And then they talk about science. Well, you have to get additional credit in science, taken from. There's all these offerings again. So suddenly it's okay, I'm still getting 4 years of science. It goes on the following endorsements. For STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That is one of the endorsements, STEM. And so you have to get certain courses in order to do that. 4 credits in computer science. And they show you all these that you can do. 3 credits in mathematics by successfully completing Algebra 2 and 2 additional mathematics courses for which Algebra 2 is a prerequisite. So not only do you have to get Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, you have to get 2 more. 4 credits in science by completing chemistry, physics, 2 additional science classes. In addition to Algebra 2, chemistry and physics, coherence, sequencing. There are certain ways that you put all these together. If you're going to go to the business and industry endorsement, here's what you have to have: 4 English elective courses, including public speaking, debate, broadcast, journalism, yearbook, etc. Applications of other areas, and they keep on going up. Public service is an endorsement. See? And you have to do all these different areas, and they have that explain what you have to do. Arts and humanities is an endorsement. You have to have 5 social studies credits. 5. Typically, you should just be 4. Now you have to have 5. You have to have 4 levels of the same language. Not just 2, 4. 2 levels in a language other than English, and 2 levels of a different language in a language other than English. 4 levels of American Sign Language, or these are ors, okay? This one, or this one, or this one. Okay, so that's why you have little ors out here. So you didn't get all those. You have the choice. You have to have 4 elective English credits. Instead of doing all this other stuff up here, you have to have 4 English elective credits, including English 4, or so you get your 3, and then you get the other ones to go through there. Then you have the multidisciplinary endorsement, where they explain all these things. Those are your endorsements, folks. They give you 5 areas that you can follow through with. And that new students, those are freshmen, they have to fit one of those endorsements. They have to declare, I'm going to follow this one in business and industry. I think that's what I want to do. Okay, good. Go for it. They're 14. Actually, it's when they're in the 8th grade they're supposed to look at that and say, this is the plan I want to cover. They go back to when they're in the 6th grade now, actually, and say, okay, as you're planning to go to high school, what is your 6-year plan? So you're asking a 12-year-old, what is your 6-year plan? I want to get out of high school. Good. What program are you going to cover? And then you ask a 14-year-old, 2 years later, 13, 14-year-old, coming out of the 8th grade. Okay, here we go. Here's your endorsements. Choose one. Then they get them when they're 16, their sophomore year, they can readjust their endorsement. Is that how we set up education? Do we need to have that specific of goals for students? It can help. Let's face it. How many of you have gone through school so far with people, they don't have a clue what they're doing, they're just there. Would it not help them to know, here's why you're here? This is the plan. You're following this set of courses. Here's why you're taking this class. There is a reason for taking this class, and then that class, and then that class. Rather than just say, I'm taking it because they just tell me I have to stay here until they tell me I can leave. Which, you know, there are some people like that. They go through their 4 years of high school, and they're finally told, you can leave now. Thank goodness. What if they had a better plan, which is what the endorsements were supposed to help cover? Give them a better plan. Here's why you take this class. It will lead you down this path. That's an issue to consider as we're trying to figure out, why do we make students take certain classes? Why is it important for a student to take a certain course? Why do you have to take English every single year? Then come to college and take it again. Why do you have to take history when you were in 8th grade? And then they have you take it again. Did they move it down to sophomore year? I think they moved U.S. history down, didn't they? It used to be a junior level course. Okay. Did they move it down to freshman? Okay. Because it used to be that you started with world geography, and then they moved you to world history, and then they moved you to U.S. history. So literally, you covered U.S. history in 8th grade, and then you covered again, basically 4 years, 3 years later as a junior. So you pick back up, because usually you cover up till the Civil War, and then 3 years later you get to pick up from the Civil War on. Huh? So they've tried to readjust some of those. But then you come to college, and guess what? We tell you take U.S. history again. Learn about John Smith. I covered that in American Lit too. They had to read his letters. German. Well, why? What are we trying to do with those courses? Do you understand why we're doing that? It becomes an aspect that these endorsements that the state of Texas set up, their intent was to try to clarify why students take certain courses in the sequence that they do, so that these students will understand at a better level that the courses are designed to assist them to become better prepared for when they leave school. That's the purpose of the endorsements. I don't know if they necessarily fulfill all that. It sounds really good to say, oh, we're going to give them a really defined roadmap to success. Did any of that sound really well defined for you folks? Maybe not, right? Get a chance, if you ever get a chance to read House Bill 5 and stuff, there you go, TA. You can go to the Texas Education Code. There you are. Code 74.14, or just 74 actually. So chapter 74, subchapter B, okay, of the TA codes. Type in this 19 TAC, Texas Academic Curriculum, chapter 74, subchapter B. If you really want to go look that up sometime and try to read through all this. Because it can be very challenging for a student saying, why am I having to take? Now, many people don't question, as Mr. Brown indicated. They tell me I need to take this class, I take it, right? Okay. I'm taking world geography. Why? Because they told me I had to take world geography. Okay, so I'm taking world geography. Why? What's the goal with it? What's the purpose? Yeah, I told you my purpose for this class, I want you to be better writers. My sole purpose, I want you to feel that you are better writers when we finally finish this
Your
class.
conference is scheduled to end in 2 minutes.
Hopefully that involves sharpening your critical thinking ability, sharpening your ability to recognize and understand on different levels. But my goal is, can you write better? And better means clearly, logically, expressively. Can you do that? That's my purpose for the class. Your purpose, I need to get a college credit because I'm using this until I get out of high school. Or I need a college credit because I'm trying to pursue a certain degree. They told me I had to take this class. That's all I want to do. That's understandable. That's your indications for taking the class. When you read through the articles in the book, they raise some interesting questions about education. They really do. The idea about why we major and what we major, why we follow degree programs that we do, whether it's on the high school level, as I've indicated here with the chapter 74, subchapter B, and the concepts of endorsements, or it is pursuing a major at a college/university. Why do we do that? Well, I like that. Or, as many people will tell you, I'm majoring in this because I can get a job. They'll pay me well. Well, what tell us, comment is, it's more important for you to have a college degree and be successful with that degree rather than what you majored in. That's his point that he makes. That they look at, do they have a college degree? Quite often they will say they would like to have a degree in a particular area, but they don't always require that. To give you an idea, are any of you leaning toward
Your
business?
conference is now over.
Well,
Goodbye.
answer that question. Okay. All right, guys. Talk to you later then, I guess.